Hi everyone, I'm back and I have very unfortunate news. I failed everybody. I tried my best. I tried to summon Donkey Kong this past Direct and I fell very short. We will remember him very well. Let it be note that my summoning circle did not work, so. But we're here to play some more Donk. Funky Kong's taking a little bit of a break. He let me use shades because he's such a stand-up guy. And we're playing a little mod of the first Donkey Kong Country called Donkey Kong Country Mania. Like, kind of in the vein of Sonic Mania is the modder's kind of description of it. Just like remix levels, keep familiar themes. Seems like a fun way to revisit this game. This one is quite a favorite. I've already rambled upon it before and just gotta say for the YouTube VOD squad, I'm sorry you're gonna see this maybe one night and then, you know, you just come off your Funky Kong playthrough and you're just like, oops, well, yeah, of course it was right all along. No news of the donk from Nintendo today, but we will remember. I'm very interested in what this is gonna be like because, like, you know, this game's pretty good. Or at least the base game is good. I sure hope this mod is good. I was just rambling about all my fond memories about this the other day. And now here I am, getting a look at new levels and new beavers and lots of funny sound effects and orange kremlings. I looked up the guy's name the other day. The boss, you know, the big stupid triangle guy, Kerosene. It's just his brethren. I'm gonna make him so mad. I'm gonna prank this guy right now. Give him a little bop. Hear that? I was also confusing some sound effects between the Game Boy Advance version of this game when I was talking about stuff I really liked and the ones that come out of the SNES one, because out of the GBA one they add a couple new like noises and ways to do some guys, and K. Rool just completely steals from Donkey Kong 64's voice pool, which I mean works pretty well because he doesn't have a distinct voice in this one, but it's still funny to see it again. I have no idea where exactly I'm going with this in terms of direction in the level. But yeah, no, I can't say I'm surprised. I was talking about it the other day. I don't really think the sign was in the banana peel for a Donkey Kong Country game anytime soon, and poor dude's just sitting on standby for a bit. Though we saw some really odd ones, like Sama de Amigo getting pulled off the Sonic karting roster to finally have a new game. I was reading on the internet, I guess, like, is the Wii one just like a port of the Dreamcast, like an updated thing? Because I didn't think that was the case. I thought it was something new, but I've also never played them, so I could just be woefully like ignorant. Either way, that's one of those games I'm glad exists, but I don't see myself ever really doing. I'm not a rhythm guy. I'm gonna say this right now. Like, I really love music. I've talked about how I compose music, but I don't really like waggling to music as a gameplay structure, unless it's like something really good, you know, like combat-based stuff seems pretty fun. I can get behind that. I have done that, actually. I say that and I'm like completely enthralled. The Crypt of the Necromancer and Cadence of Hyrule, or Necrodancer. Sorry, because those are really good. But if it's just like, here's the music and here's the stuff, I've not been converted all the way yet. It can depend. I guess Rhythm Head and Fever actually seems really good, but I've never played it. Though there are hilarious videos online of it. That exclamation point is just the guy going like, those things right here, where that was the same kind of exclamation mark they leave at the developer warp barrels in Donkey Kong Country 2. They're just giving me a little shout out. I don't know if that was their intention with doing that, but that's all I just thought of there. I might be going a lot of places. Wow, that's a tight jump. But I will say in terms of, okay, that is safe. The camera figured me out. Stuff I liked. I've streamed Fire Emblem before. That was slowdown. That was odd. But, oh, they give you 99 lives? Neat. That's maybe not a good sign. I could die. But Fire Emblem gave a shout out to heroes that isn't just in its own game. I was delighted when their wave of Fire Emblem Engage rings. Alright, I know they're working with a tile set editor. I don't blame them for these wonky backgrounds. They're literally just editing like what's already there. This is fair. But thing Veronica from Faye is in good old Engaged as a Ring, and it's the best thing ever. That was such a delight where, like, I like that game enough where I'm all for the characters being able to be used elsewhere, like just to pop up and prove they aren't just going to be like thrown away forever as soon as the mobile game is done. All right, I just fired when I'm set. Gotcha. Let me be a big boy. So the fact, oh, I just lost him. Gosh, dang it. I'm gonna steal a GDQ term and say I lost Big Diddy. No, and now I lost Little Diddy. But they just put you right back in. That's right. I remember reading about this. It's so then you don't waste time with the screen. But, oh boy, that made me almost lose everything. Faye has some good characters, and even though they're somewhat a little bland some of the time, I think they're likable enough by 6 years in that we can give them a little love elsewhere. I was originally of the camp that, like, you can just say that Fire Emblem Heroes could be reformatted to be its own kind of, I see that, I'm going in it, in its own kind of adventure, and I think it would work if you gave them proper cutscenes. And then they did Engage. Engage is kind of, sort of, that concept, but I mean, I'd still be up for just having the big old, like, proper all-star, like, barely any new people, just give us a bunch of the old people again, to re-character them again. I was hoping I'd go underneath that. That was me being a fool. But yeah, stinking Veronica's around. That's a secret. All right, neat. I'm just finding all sorts of things without meaning to. That was right next to the barrel. That's, whoa. That was a crazy corner catch. I thought I was in for it. I haven't played Engage yet, for the record. I'm going to say that as well. I'm biding my time. I will be ready when the time is right, since I've still been busy with a couple other things. I'm playing a game right now, just because I'm a big old nerd. I've been playing Hyperdimension Neptunia Sisters v Sisters right now, because that came out recently, and I have Chomp's Reef. Okay, I'm gonna get chomped. And I have a lot that I like about that series, besides that it's just like cutesy anime girl central. That was the one that really told me that I could be whatever I could want to be when it comes to things I liked. Like, that broke me out of my shell, because Hyperdimension, or Mega Dimension? Something Dimension V2 is like actually a pretty good RPG on its own right. It's not just like the other ones kind of have filler. And you can really kind of just have to grind it out now and again when it comes to it, right? But then V2 solves that problem where if I have anything I don't necessarily like about RPGs, it's RPGs that make you spend an artificial amount of time grinding just to say that that's like your runtime. It'd be like, oh wow, we gotta put 6 hours more padded across this game than what our story content allows. So how about we just charge up that boss level by like 5 here or 6 over there. And the only way for you to really fill that out is to just battle the same enemies over and over until you get high enough on your levels just not to get floored by this thing. Not feeling it. Tales of RPGs are pretty good because I just fight whatever I bonk into. But anyways, back on point. This is very similar to the first level, except it's just fish. Actually, oh man, the modders, I think they're saying they couldn't do much with the water levels. That would explain why this is just like actually the first stage, but with more shark. So V2 comes out, right? And it's been out for a while by the time I think I pick it up, which is during, you know, good old-fashioned Steam sales for all the budget. And I was just like, yeah, you know, I've always had an interest in this. I'm going to give it a go. Little to my poor brain did I know what I was doing, because when you get a game like that on main and your Steam pals with coworkers on your job, they will see you playing that. So, you know, I'm just playing it one night, having a good time, and next day at work, you show up, and my manager is just like, yo, Korshal, I see you're playing this game called Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, or I think he just called it 7, and he's just like, it looks kind of like a weeaboo game. And I was just like, yeah, it kind of is. And then another coworker listening in is just like, what in the world are you talking about? So he looks it up very helpfully on Google. And you know what's one of the first things you see when you go on Google for that kind of stuff is clips from the anime, which gets really fan servicey. So you start seeing this really, like, I don't know if I would quite properly call it raunchy, but it was not looking good for me. So he's watching this and he's just like, Corshel, are you not telling me something here? And it's just like, I swear I do it for the plot. It's not like this all the time. It's only like that a little bit of the time. And after that cat was out of the bag, it became a lot easier. I knew that was going to be there. These barrels are just right next to where you gotta drop it off. But after that, it was no longer like having to be like, oh, maybe I have a little nerve in this, just like liking things. It just became straight up like, nah, I just like what I like. After I put up with that, there was nothing phasing me anymore. It's just time to like the cute. I rolled all into it. It kind of became my stick around work. But yeah, that's been keeping me busy. I can report that if we're worried about earlier NEP games being full of the occasional, here's our fan service CG screen to fill in the quota, there's been like 0 of that, and I'm pretty sure I'm in the back fourth of the game by this point. So, I guess either that's impressive restraint or typical Sony cracking the whip again with the censoring policy, which they do make fun of in the game, by the way. So if it's something the devs had to put up with, wow, that was really fast. They know exactly what they've had to put up with. Excuse me, my dude. You don't even have a barrel stash. Let me up. What's up here? I like how there's just bananas to collect when there's like infinite lives. You don't even need to get them, but I've been trained to get them. Monkey see, monkey do. I grabbed the banana. Also, for fans of my previous discussions, you'll be happy to know I did buy more bananas this week for myself, and right now they're a great stripe of green, like just barely. They started a little extra green than I thought it was going to be, but that just means it'll last me longer till in the week, and mission's going to be successful. I know this guy is just like the same thing as normal, I think. They said you can't really do much to boss patterns, unless they just like added more hits. They definitely added more hits. Okay, it's fine though. The beaver is still poo, and this time there's no cranky calling to let me know I can't do it. Moving on though, since we're talking about Fire Emblem, I love the fact that Game Boy Advance stuff is coming to NSO. That was a pleasant surprise for me today, especially seeing they're promising that Blazing Blade, I believe, because I think Roy is Binding Blade, is going to be coming to that soon. I've not played that Fire Emblem yet. I've only played Sacred Stones, and I would really like to be able to give that a go without paying all the money to collect the physical version of what's just called Fire Emblem here. Because, that's expensive. I love owning physical things. I will almost always prefer to own physical, with some exceptions. It actually will go into my next game when I talk about Prime a little bit, because I'm waiting easily to buy the physical version of that. I don't need to get it night one. I've got plenty to do. I am so glad my jump blocks that necky nut right before that. That was so close. But getting to play both Fire Emblem OG and the fact that there's still the e-reader levels for SMB3, like I believe the Wii U console, Virtual Console did that as well. It's always such a nice touch, and it's like the only reason you would play that version of the game. Okay, there's science. Give me a second. They kept it. All right, I don't know if they edited this at all. Well, there's a balloon there. They definitely did something, but we don't come here to play minecart levels. We're here to skip the minecart level. Thanks. Oh, but I am looking forward to my Game Boy Advance games. There's so many good things on there that hopefully will come see the light of day. And there's some things that I've had before on the Wii U that just like having it on the Switch, I jumped up for the DK barrel, lost my Kong, and then hit the barrel. That was a complete waste of my time. I'm ready for my GBA games, and I just want to be able to see, like, the Nintendo stuff is all good. I'm hoping they don't just be like, well, now that you have SMB3 GBA, here's Super Mario Bros. GBA, and also Yoshi's Island GBA. And it's like, guys, please, we don't need to do that right now. Like, if you're going to move over to SNES ports, which we spent a little bit at length talking about before the other time, at least with Donkey Kong Country stuff, do Donkey Kong Country 1 right here and 3, because those are the ones with significant new stuff. All the Mario ones, sans the e-reader levels in 3, are just like the same thing. So, I'm not going to put blame early. They haven't even done it. I don't want to put the foot in their mouth when there's nothing to blame them for yet. But if we get the simple, like, carryovers of ports, basically, for stuff like that, I'm going to just be wondering what they could have really spent the 5 minutes uploading a ROM to a network to put up there would be for it. And then, we'll just get to do the other wacky stuff. I love, for the basic ones, Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Amazing. As soon as I saw that, it was like, oh, Winky, no. I forgot I haven't had DK this whole time. I heard him. Where's my bud? He must be forward. This is, yep, that's a danger. We're running. The armadillo. Get out of here. But Tilt and Tumble is a game I love so much, and I don't remember beating as a kid, but the pink cartridge was a delight. You know, I could see them doing it. I mean, it would make sense. Oh, that was such a hard jump. But it would make sense because we know how nostalgic our Pokemon players are. Like, I started with that generation too, so like, you know, I can rank myself amongst the old-timey Pokies. And it's so easy for them to put at least yellow and crystal, but they're definitely doing it in pairs. Because they're like, here's red and blue with their funny old sprites as they were still kind of... I did not mean to roll. As they were still finalizing their designs and just getting everything like in proper place. And then Gold and Silver has the huge nostalgia following. This bee is maniacal. I'm going to figure out... There we go. We got it second time around. But yeah, I could see that. It'd be good for speedrunning too. Like, well, I don't know how many version numbers of these Pokemon games exist if they fix particular glitches. But that's a nice thing too if they just upload the same old like games to these things. It just lets people speedrun for a bit. There's a lot... Oh, I thought I was going to be Pit. I'm glad it wasn't. But there's a lot of good to letting people have access to these kind of games that have been around forever when you get to see cool stuff all around. Like GDQ, awesome time. I love watching some of their things. Oops. I was referencing Big Diddy because I watch the First Step now and again because that show is pretty cool. And I really like what the guys are up to. And they ran OG Donkey Kong Country 1 once, and that was pretty fun. They kept referencing Donkey Kong as Big Diddy. And then they were always choosing to play as him because of his weight for some reason. But, you know, first time running the game. It happens. I'm not a speedrunner. Don't take my advice as much as I like the game. But, yeah, old games getting their OG versions on Nintendo Switch with save states, lets you try out, like, certain things all the time. Yep, I'm guessing that was just shooting me up. So you can practice those glitches. You can't do stuff like Donkey Kong Country. Some of the glitches for woo, don't mean to juggle that right away. But some of the glitches that are used for like any percent aren't in the version ROM that they use in that one. Is there a door? Man, I was trained to expect a door. But maybe the really old janky Pokemon games are the perfect place to go ahead and try. There's stop and go lights now? Yeah, here they are. I just figured out they're here. I guess that was the mechanic of this originally. But yeah, let people speedrun old games more. I feel like sometimes it's just a lot of old guard because we all grew up with it. So there's not like a lot of fresh blood. I just kind of like get that feeling, I guess, that sometimes there could be the youngins looking out and being like, yeah, we can try to run these silly janky things too. I don't want speedrunning to be a dying art. It's so awesome to watch and learn a bunch of facts about really old games. I guess they do speedrun newer games. But there's charm to how broken you can find some of the old games to be when you watch a informative speedrun. You're like, look at all this junk that you didn't know was broken in the game's code. So now we're going to saw this game in half. And it's like, oh, that's neat. That just shot me down. Why? What do you think I was going to do bouncing off that guy's head? I was going to wind up here anyways. It's okay. There is some slowdown going on. But also, oh heck, Wario Land 3. I'm a big Wario Land guy. I played Pizza Tower. There is a Pizza Ramble for the YouTube gang. Proof that I played it. Beating the end of that game was insane, and I'm looking even more forward to Anton Blast later, even if I don't expect the narrative through line to get as nutty as Pizza Towers did. Wario Land 3 is good to see. It's so close to 4. We're hoping over here in space that Wario Land 4 comes out because we need, in 1 year, imagine it. You have Pizza Tower, say that's here at the beginning of the year since it just came out. Put Wario Land 4 right out in the middle, like summer release, pretty good, yeah? And then if Anton stays on track, you have it come out later in the year. So it's like for the 4 or 5 months across the course of this year, you have, oh heck, more platforming goodness with the Wario style like crash and bash mentality. That would be the best for me. I don't even really need to necessarily revisit 4 personally. Like, I'd rather revisit like Shake It because I don't recall if I fully beaten that game. I feel like I got stuck at a boss. Oh, I was low enough to get under that. That was nice. Okay. But I just want to be able to have more of that kind of thing. I really wish that there was any way for Nintendo to gauge NSO like titles chosen. Like, I don't know if the app supports any sort of metric that goes, hey, these kind of people are playing this game and this many of them are doing it. Like, imagine the easy market research that you go ahead and put Wario Land 4 on the GBA NSO and you just see like a lot of good press about it. Loads of people are playing it, and not just for the fact that there might be only like 8 games on it in total by the time it would theoretically come out. So then they're not really like full of options. Maybe we'll errata it to say like NSO metrics when there's like 20 games out. Yeah, actually that'd be good too. Any sort of player input, like customer input, which we know Nintendo isn't always the best at doing because they kind of work in their own enigmatic ways. Nintendo do what Nintendo does. But it'd be great just to be like, what first party thing would you want? Like, they occasionally do those kind of survey emails, right? Wow, Neki didn't even have any more hits. I'm pretty sure the Beaver at least had more hits. Or, actually, now that I think about it, that Beaver might have been just the Ice World one pasted early. But yeah, just have a thing being like, here's a checkbox list of all these. All right, yep, I had to make sure that was safe. But here's our first party stuff on like basically any of their platforms. Do a category for each, and you'll be able to let people just pick what they want, and then just see. And you know, besides the fact that's marketing going, oh yeah, we already have this game, we can just pick it and put it on our servers. Boom, easy. We already have all the levers in place. It is no time spent in order to slap Wario Land 4 on it. But that has the added benefit. I don't know why I'm doing this bonus. There's literally infinite lives in this mod. They put stuff there. I pick it up. I am just a little gremlin picking up his gold things, going down my track, just reaching up my stubby little arms and being like, give me. I don't know why I need this, but give it to me. And completely wasting my own time. Can I at least get up to the top? I don't remember how to get to the bonus. Also, the timer goes very fast. They probably sped it up because they knew it didn't matter. Okay, wiggle. Oh man, that was throwing me for a loop. But yeah, you get this poll, and it's just like, we want Wario Land 4, and this many people are saying they want Wario Land on there. So you think it'd be able to be secondary purpose where Nintendo in their C-suite is being like, a very surprising amount of people are asking us for Wario Land right now. Could that mean they want a new Wario Land? And like, assuming they're just in their little like glass garden where they absolutely do not notice any internet news whatsoever and have completely been absolutely blind to the fact that where's that? There's a dude right up there. Sneaky, I think. But absolutely blind okay. Blind to the fact that there's Anton and Pizza Tower out. And being like, there are people definitely paying for Wario Land experiences because there's these indie games making all the memes and sales on Steam and elsewhere right now. And like, they go, yeah, all right, sure, we can do that. We'll come up with some new wacky gimmick for Wario. We're gonna bring him back. He hasn't had a platformer in actually years. So, you know, you feel like the writing's right there. And then they just continue doing other things. But at the same time, their other things are pretty good, so I guess if they're just picking the safe bets sometimes, then that's fine. Or, you know, with oddball, not quite safe bets, brings me to the next subject, talking about Advance Wars finally rises from the trenches of indefinite Delaysville, where it's coming back. I have been waiting on this for actually its entire development. I am one of the Advance Wars faithful. I played that way before I knew Fire Emblem was a thing, which I guess I say that, and I think Advance Wars was localized before. I couldn't bust that barrel? What's the times 2 mean? I don't get it. But Advance Wars was definitely around and marketed in the States more than Fire Emblem was. It always feels like Fire Emblem was just like their oddball experiment back in the GBA time where they're like, well, people talked about it with Marth, so I guess we're going to see how it does. And you get all that. And then you just get Advance Wars where it was such a darling for a little bit. The multiplayer, perfect. I used to travel a lot when I was a baby boy. And I had, or have, they're not dead, I have a little brother. And so you get on these long travel spaceship rides, and it's just like, well, you don't own 2 of a game necessarily, and you've got these Game Boy Advances. Occasionally you have the link cable. You're having like Bomberman Tournament. These barrels literally just spawn and fall. I thought it was an orangutan throwing them, but it doesn't seem like it. So you have Advance Wars, and you try the link cable mode, and you kind of figure out, admittedly, that it like sucks because it's all pre-deployed. You don't have any cities, no factories. You can't make anything new. It's just like, here's this tiny map, and here's the guys you get. We're like, nah, we want the long game. This ship is going to take 7 hours to get to our destination, sans any like refueling breaks. I cannot get hit by this Necky again. There we go. We got past it. So you get to Advance Wars, like, you know, it's not for everybody. Those things are expensive. That's a premium feature. And my fam wasn't always feeling it. Sometimes you just had to go the long way. So you get to the the multiplayer, the true multiplayer mode. Once you figured out that when you're setting up the like free play maps, that you can say like, oh, player 1, well, sorry. Player 1 can be the first CO, and then you can decide like the quote player 2 to a second CO. And then you just pass around the Game Boy Advance. Everybody wins. You get a more comprehensive multiplayer experience, And you save battery life for the second Game Boy Advance. It's genius too, because you're spending your time taking turns, like plotting alliances, mainly against the computer players, because heck them, they aren't human right now. It's gotta be the literal bros winning out against the computers first, right? That's the rule. You gotta have the alliance. You gotta take down the AI and prove you are superior to any phony robot. But you do that, and even if the battery gets low, I can't believe I made that jump. Holy crap. You go through and play, and it lasts you several hours, because Advance Wars can be a long game sometimes. And if the battery starts getting low, you're just like, oh, sweet, we have a second Game Boy Advance. We're just going to switch over that and keep this party rolling. And it's like, yes, ingenious. Thank you, Intelligent Systems. You knew exactly what to do to make this last the most. And then Advance Wars 2 comes out, and you're just like, oh, they added a new tank, and it's round. It's round with funny little wheel legs and a giant oversized cannon on the front. And you just know when you build enough of them, the computers don't know what to do. You just get all, or the free map computers anyways, because it's kind of anything goes. You get all these round balls of death, and you just start hogging up the road. You just have like 8 of them just on the singular bridge that this river is crossing by, and it's the only way for the computers to get their tanks through. So then the computer's just like, oh, we're not going to try to fight this Neo tank because it's just death for anything that's not also like a Neo tank. So then they just sit there and just let it like vibe, and you're just like, you fools. Now we're going to start bullying you all over, and you just start like bullying the computer the whole time. Maybe I should have saved that. Never mind, I'm Donkey Kong. We're good. This is definitely vibes of the end game of the vanilla game. And we got there. You know.